every year, thousands of people lay claim to seeing either Bigfoot or Dogman. Yet 40,000 people claim they saw a Bigfoot or a Dogman. And you go by the stats, so you leave those in half and cut it down to 20,000. And then you take off another 5,000 for attention getters. That leaves 15,000 people that actually seen Dogman or Bigfoot. Right?
What's up, everybody? I'm Cody. Welcome to another episode of Upright Dogs. Today, I got a self story for you. I think I've said it in one of my previous videos, but I'm going to reiterate. Plus, I got something else to add to it. Before I get started, though, I would like to give y'all a spoiler alert. Sometime in the not so distant future, we are going to be going to investigate an area where somebody's having some odd things happening around his homestead there. He has about 5 or 10 acres of land, I believe, and he's hearing a lot of strange noises. So him and I are going to communicate back and forth, and we're going to try to get over there as soon as we can. We're going to take y'all with us. So heads up on that. Be looking out for it. But anyway, my story today goes back to 1985, 1986, when myself and a friend of mine I was going to school with, this is in Mississippi. I think some of my subscribers are from Mississippi, so you may know the area I'm talking about. This place is just outside of Meridian. It's called Delwood Lake. It's a gated community, so you know only landowners and home owners can go on this lake. But so we lived on this lake, and my friend and I were, like I said, we're big time avid hunters, and there was an area on the back side of this lake called Springs Road. So we used to go there, quite a bit every winter. We'd go hunting back there, whether it be squirrels, rabbits, deer, whatever. We used to go. Well, there was always an eeriness about that place. Every time you went, there was you always felt like something was present. And, we felt that the very first time we went in there, but we just, because we didn't see anything, it eventually became second nature, so we didn't even pay it any mind. But the place has a history. It was back in the Civil War. There was some areas of it used as medical, we're fixing, saving and wounded soldiers that came in. I mean, it was supposedly just like a threw up tent or something, whatever, canvas. And they would tend to wounded soldiers that came in. Well, they did so because it got its name Springs Road, is because right out of the side of a hill is a natural spring water coming out. And so, not now, but back then, somebody had run a metal pipe up in there so it would come out that pipe. And I mean, everybody was getting drinking water from there. Awesome water. Ooh, that tasted good. Of course, if you're from Mississippi, they call them artesian wells, but supposedly right on the back side of that hill is where they put up that temporary Civil War hospital. But there was always an eeriness about it. And there's one time we went in there because we would always park up off the asphalt there and then walk in. And one time we would walk in there 2-3 miles back in there, and one time we seen this huge cat track. I mean, it was oh gosh, it was big. And that was something to see. We figured it was a cougar or something. But so just one day, him and myself went in there, and it was opening day of deer season. which would have been in November. And we had shotguns. Well, we didn't really care about the laws put in place, so we were after meat. We got about three quarters of a mile the way in, and turkey flew up. There had been some turkeys just right off the road there. They heard us coming. They flew up in a tree right just ahead of us. We lit that thing up. Oh my gosh! 2 shotguns bore on him, and lit him up. Well, we decided, well, until we're not ready to call it quits on hunting. So until we get done, let's go up, take them up here and bury them, in the leaves. So, nothing makes it harder for anything to find it, and so we did that, and we went on back up the road, another couple miles. Well, on our way out, we went back up the hill to get the turkey, and as soon as we got to the turkey, I turned around to use the bathroom, take a pee, and I was talking to him the whole time, but he wasn't answering. I kept, kind of looking back over my shoulder like that. I'm like, hey, he wasn't saying nothing. So I got done and I walked right up beside him. I said, hey, man. And he come up, pointed, and his eyes were real big, and kind of, his mouth was kind of open. And he goes, did you see that? And I'm like, no, see what? He said there was something big right there, standing right there beside that tree. He said it was tall, and we went to the tree, and he took his hand and measured, went up, said this thing stood about yay high. Well, we got to looking around, and sure enough, right at the base of that tree where he said it was standing, something with, we're talking a bunch of leaves here, so, bear with me. Something with an extraordinary amount of weight was able to push those leaves down into the dirt. It was kind of like, soggy soil, and it was able to push those leaves down enough to make somewhat of a print, And when we found that, of course, nobody back then is thinking about taking a camera. We wasn't thinking about that. Dad dang sure didn't have no cell phone. But we saw them prints, and he just took off running. And I don't know why, but I lit in right behind him. I wasn't going to ask any questions. I just fell in right behind him. I'm like, I don't know why we're running, but he might hear the ice cream truck up the way. I don't know. I'll find out when we get there. But I lit out right behind him, and we got back up to the road, and in our minds, we knew what our minds told us, or was trying to tell us it was, but we never did admit it. And I never saw it. He saw it. But I did see the prints, and, then like I said, he took his hand, because the thing was standing right beside a tree, and he took his hand and scaled up the tree as high as he could get it, and said it was so and so tall. And, so... yeah, that was our experiment. We never did talk about it no more after that. I mean, it's we kept it between ourselves, and up to here recently, I've never even really shared that with anybody. It's kind of like this part 2 I'm fixing to explain to y'all. So, in another case, once again, because I was born in Texas, but I lived most of my life in Mississippi. So, but now I'm back in Texas. So, somebody in my past, let's get that out of the way. Nobody of importance, but somebody in my past, we bought a house, and it was just outside of Meridian, there again, and over in the southeast school district area. It was a Jim Walter style home, and it was purchased back in 2000, and so at the time I was living in Hattiesburg, so my dad was pressuring me about coming back to Meridian and taking being a foreman for his construction company because he needed me. So, that's when we bought. This is why we bought this house. So, but anyway, it took a little bit of time for things started coming to fruition. One night, of course, being a big time gun owner like I am, I sleep with a shotgun beside my bed. It's a tactical 12. So, one night I was in bed asleep, long about 2 o'clock in the morning. The dog we had was a full-blooded Doberman Pinscher, and just started barking. And I'm like, wouldn't I shut up? I mean, like, just kept barking and barking and barking. Well, the first night that this started, just kind of blew, frustration, but never did get up. The second night, persisted again, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I went out, I said, Max, shut up, and he shut up for about 3 minutes. And once I got back into the house, that 3 minutes passed. Here we go again. So, I got my shotgun because about this time I was frustrated. I mean, we got neighbors that are just right there. Plus, we're trying to sleep. No, they're trying to sleep. I got the shotgun, which I say that the act I'm fixing to commit is worse than what the dog was doing. So I went out, boom, shot up in the air, and that shut him up for about as long as it took me to get back into bed. And so that night, it was kind of one of them, I had to be calm down things, or he was going to have to find a new home. I wasn't going to hurt him, wasn't going to do anything like that. But the following night, he started barking again. But a few minutes after he started barking, I heard a noise in the kitchen. And it was enough of a noise that it actually made me think somebody was in that house. And because what it had sounded like is it sounded like somebody opened the cabinet door and got a pot. And you know how you would either bang it putting one in or clank it against others trying to get one out. And that's what it sounded like. And I'm like, somebody's in this house. So I got the shotgun, walked down the hall, down there all tactical style, walking down the hall, covering my corners there, and nobody's there. Nobody is in that kitchen. Nobody. And I had this weird feeling that made that kind of hair kind of stand up on my neck, but nobody was in there. Well, things kind of smoothed down a little bit, except for the arguing. The arguing started picking up. And one night, the arguing for like no reason. Like, I tell you, the salt shaker could have been placed on the wrong side of the pepper. That, an argument start from that. And so one night went out to get something to eat, and I noticed we're not fighting. We're sitting here, laughing, and we're not fighting. Well, I noticed that about 2 more times because we was avid going out to eaters, and finally I was paying attention. The one time when we went out and come back, and within 30 minutes of being back from going out to eat in that house, we started fighting or arguing again. So I brought it up. I said, have you noticed, because nobody's going to think about this, you know? I said, have you noticed that every time we're out there eating or doing whatever, you know, driving, going to bowling, what, I don't care what it is, but when we're out there, everything's okay. I said, have you noticed when we cross this threshold coming back in this house, we start fighting? And it was agreed. So we ended up getting a big time Christian in there and his wife, and they were big believers, and so they brought the anointing oil, and of course, I mean, I'm saying, you know, we were too, but they were old school, you know, wiser, and but you know, he brought the anointing oil, and then before we started, he's like, well, I think we just need to walk through this house and pray about it and just anoint things with this oil. Okay, you know, hey, whatever, let's give it a whirl. So the first thing he did was anoint you know, each one of his forehead. So said a prayer, and then we started walking through the house, you know, and he would touch various things, couch, you know, anything that a person would touch in a, you know, everyday life in the house, light switches, you know, things like that, glasses, whatever. So we had everything dwelled down to one room, and everything else has been done. And so, okay, there's four of us. Keep this in mind. There's four of us. And we go into the room. It was a room where my son stayed when he came over for the weekend. There was a unicorn picture on the wall in there that wasn't ours. Let's get that out of the way right now. It was, you know, it came with the house, so we never took it down. But there was a unicorn picture on the wall, and I think it was his wife. She said, "There's something odd about that unicorn picture." I'm like, "What? The fact that it's in a boy's room?" I said, "We hadn't took it down yet, you know." Matter of fact, it was coming down that night after all of this. But she goes, "No, there's something weird about it." And so everybody, you know, we kind of all congregated right at the picture, and don't follow me here, the very split second that picture was touched with that anointed oil on that finger, so something went through all four of us, boom, just like that at the same time. If I were to slow down time of what I'm talking about, everybody was to my right. I was on the far left over here, so we made a kind of a quarter of a circle at that picture. So everybody was to my right, so I could see facial expressions, and everybody was just like mine. At that same time they touched that picture, something went through us. All of us had hair upon our neck, felt like a real cold sensation went through our dang soul, and the exact same expression was on all of our face, which was that right there. You could have took a picture and it'd be like, dang, look how in sync they were for that to be right at the same time, you know. But everybody turned around to look, and whatever it was went straight into the closet. What it was, I don't know. You know, I know people are going to have their opinions, whatever. Dark energy, you know, this trap ghost in this world, whatever. I know that all four of us experienced it at the same time. And see, things happen to us in life that we may not go around talk about to others, but it never leaves up here, you know. And so when you hear things, you know, after you experience something like that, it's far much easier to believe that there is other things, Bigfoot, Dogman, aliens, you know, it's much easier to believe. So that was my experience that time around. So if y'all have had anything that you experienced, get in touch with me. I'll drop my email if it's not there already. I'll drop my email down in the description. Y'all send me an email, and if you don't mind, I'll get you on a video, and maybe we can do a phone conversation, and you explain it, describe to us what you went through. Or if you don't want to do that, then you want me to narrate it, then just by all means, get it out there. I mean, this stuff is interesting. So that's going to do it for today. And I would like to remind y'all that coming here pretty quick, we're going to do some investigation on that land. So see what we can come up with. So y'all subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit that bell for future notifications. And y'all help me get to 1,000 subscribers. That's the most thing. My channel's been down for 3 years, as y'all already know. But now I'm back. Y'all get these videos out. Let's get 1,000 subs so I can perhaps, hopefully, maybe I can bring y'all in live when I go do that investigation. That would be kind of neat, right? But I can't go live till I get 1,000 subs. So y'all help me out with that if you would. I'm Cody, and we'll see you in those woods.